What is up, laddies? Check out that gigantic Spain. It's time for another update. Spanish Congo here. I'm looking forward to this gap being filled in. Look at it, boys. Let's turn the music off. Isn't it glorious? We're the #1 superpower, obviously, to say the least. And I have fed Austria. Look at that big boy Austria. But for the first time, to some extent, our diplomacy is weak because we have abandoned Austria finally. I really hesitated doing that. We've rivaled them up. And the reason why, by the way, Great Britain is independent and he's actually a valid rival, so that's awesome. Really, really cool. The reason why is, of course, because we finally locked down the Netherlands, boys. So all we need to do is convert it to Catholic. And this one has one of the modifiers left over from the Reformation, which comes up next year. We'll convert it real quick because our religious strength is extremely strong. And that is going to give us the ability to pass this mission here whenever it is we decide, giving us claims on the rest of the lowlands, but also, more importantly, the restoration of the Union CB over Austria. Now, if we have a look, guys, he just popped a golden era. And if you guys recall my previous Spanish game, we're a little bit stronger this game. That's for sure. I still am having like manpower issues and so on, but we've geared up a lot of troops and navy for that matter as well. But we do have his rival, the Commonwealth, as an ally. We've got 5 years truce with him. So in 5 years, the Commonwealth will be good to go. And what we may do, as Brandenburg has picked up a little bit. Brandenburg was a nation that was basically isolated here. He had taken about this much land. And he's obviously developed up some land and so on. And on very hard difficulty, very often they build this one, the force limit building. Right there. In a lot of the camps. But then as the Religious League War fired, Bohemia was leading the league, and he ended up getting 100%ed with Silesia released. Brandenburg's jumped on that, and since then, he actually just went in and randomly... Actually, during the League War, this was given to Saxony. Brandenburg jacked these Saxon provinces from Saxony, and since then, he just took a big cleave out of Bohemia. So I'm actually excited to see he's got Prussian quality troops, needless to say. Whoa! Look at that. He's easily got 2 fat stacks. And he just got defensive morale as well. Damn. So, yeah, super relevant, because I was going to say that he is neighboring the Catholic Austria. I can see right here he considers this to be of strategic interest. But he's obviously not going to like Austria very much, and I don't have the favors, but we just went ahead and grabbed him as an ally. So... yeah, we might wait 10 years just to be safe, because Austria is going to be super strong. Theoretically, the Commonwealth and the Emperor are very comparable. Very, very comparable, as you can see on development. Let's compare them just in general. Austria actually, if he was prepared and good to go, he looks like he's actually the stronger nation. And of course he has the golden era, like I said, but that doesn't count for the Commonwealth's quality. They will have better quality. So he is almost the equivalent alone, the Commonwealth. So hopefully with Brandenburg's help and my own help, we will have to fight the Austrian allies. So let us not forget that. But we'll be going in and PUing him. And as you might have seen, Austria actually has a PU of the Palatinate. How good is that? It appears as though we're going to be able to take all of this and even have some reconquest as well. So whether or not he integrates them, well, he has a whopping 55% chance to inherit the Palatinate for free because his reputation is so high, but his ruler is only 17 years old. So unlikely. Is he integrating them manually? He is! Wow, there you go, guys. He's manually integrating them. Needless to say, he's going to do it very quickly. It looks like it's going to take 12 years. Oh, it's not as quick as I had thought. Well, I think I'm content either inheriting that as part of Austria or as an independent nation, and therefore two subjects. I'm not too worried about that. But the good news is we fed Austria massively, we exploited, took advantage of him and those favors, and it's time to PU that big boy. In other news, we did not get our dynasty onto the Commonwealth yet again. We did not do it, guys. I tried. I really tried. We went for Diplo ideas. Our rep is really high. Theoretically, we should have been able to do it. It's just that the main interference was we were fighting a big, long religious league war. And the Commonwealth was on the opposing side. You can't sponsor your heir while you're doing that. So there you go. We're going to have to deal with this big boy here and deal with him the old-fashioned way, unfortunately. But we're having a glorious game, and I definitely feel like it's possible. Now, speaking of the religious league, it took its toll, but we enforced Catholicism on the empire, which is the most important thing because of some of the tactics that we're going to be using and taking advantage of towards the end of the game. I need to be elected the emperor. And a lot of these nations have kind of re-flipped, if you will. You can see even though their religious unity is not nice, they're choosing Catholicism, which is really, really good. This is what the religious map looks like, and we've done tons of converting ourselves in this kind of theater, tons and tons and tons. And to have the stain of heresy more limited is ideal. It really doesn't look that bad, to be honest, which is pretty cool. So, life's pretty good, guys. We just cleaved out a massive amount of land from the French, who are, needless to say, they're not even a valid rival anymore, even though they were a great power previous to this one war. When they had these cores, they were a great power. This one chunk of land here, because it's their colonial exploits, which are giving them sort of a buff up in that regard. And speaking of colonial exploits, the British are independent and finally have taken exploration ideas. So they're slowly colonizing one at a time. This was an issue, of course, was how barren the New World was. But we see France with the Southern American, Peruvian, and he's working on Brazil. Maybe he's not. He was working on a Brazilian colony. I wonder if he cancelled his... I'm not sure exactly what happened there. He kind of partially committed to Brazil. Interesting, but we do have Scotland in Brazil. The more colonial nations, the better. And I guess that's going to be Colombia up here, but we do have an alternative option, which is to fully annex the Dutch. This is what I'm going to attempt to do. I think first we should deal with the Emperor, and then the Empire is going to be weak. We're going to be able to attack into it. And right now, in terms of war score, we can fully annex the Dutch, and it is the age of absolutism. We have more admin efficiency on the horizon, which lowers the war score cost. So if we fully annex the Dutch, we're going to inherit his colonial nations. Now, I do need to own this land directly and convert it to our culture, guys. I understand that. But it's better to own them in the meantime and abandon them than be under somebody else, because we could get more influence in the Caribbean if we also have the Dutch West Indies. That will immediately result in a merchant in the meantime. And more importantly, we can enforce religion on his subjects and start converting them to our religion. So that's less we have to do later. The same thing applies, of course, to France. So this is going to be an East Coast colony under the Dutch here shortly. But yeah, guys, if we keep crushing France at this rate, even now, if we had the Imperialism CB, you can see with 25% reduced war score cost, we could fully annex France. That's without the absolutism. So we're getting nearer and nearer to the point, which would allow us to enforce religion on these and convert them up as well. And that means the rest of the land that they self-autonomously colonize will at least be our religion, right? It's going to be important if we're expanding in other theaters and our missionaries may be busy, especially because the Counter-Reformation is going to go away shortly, as we are now no longer in the age of Reformation. But looking pretty good overall, it really is. I'm wondering if the Muscovites, who have been having a terrible game, by the way, they declined really badly. I'm wondering if they will help us against Austria also. They're still no joke, despite having a terrible Russian game. They're no joke. Better than nothing. And yeah, I think if the Commonwealth, Brandenburg, and Muscovy, and myself, PU Austria, we're going to make short work of them. And although Austria will get a force limit hit, look at this guy. He's the fourth most powerful nation in the game, and he's exhausted. Mostly because we've been calling him to war after war. You can see how high his force limit is. Even if he gets a force limit hit, he's going to be a valuable subject for the rest of the game, guys. But next after that, we want Great Britain. We want the British, boys. So we're going to pass this one up, PU Austria. And next up is the British, who, thank goodness, they actually finally flipped Anglican. They waited until they were independent. They finally flipped Anglican. So in order to pass this, guys, we need the same amount of heavies as them. Look how horrible that is. It's got to be done, though. We're just going to have to build more and more and more heavies because it's worth it. And when you pass this, you get 20 moral of navies. A huge boon. So I think with that many state-of-the-art heavy ships, we're going to have no problem actually defeating him at sea. But yeah, it's going to stress the economy pretty hard, which is actually not doing too well right now, considering it could be better. The Cordon Country disaster was a bit brutal, and we reduced our stability, which maybe our prosperity has increased everywhere. Okay. My prosperity dwindled massively. The trade in Genoa is looking really, really nice. I wonder, maybe it's just because we're beginning to resource more and more troops, but I would like the economy to get stronger and stronger. I mean, you can see how high our force limit is. And in that case, we would still be limited by our economy. It may just be the too many territories and the fact that we're constantly routing out corruption. I mean, look at that. That's more like it if we were to turn that down, but this is our life now. Because we're going to have too many territories for pretty much ever. But yeah, guys, to sum it up, the idea is that we take all of this out in one war, all of this out in one war, and that as well. And once we integrate them into our country, they will have no separatism there, which is going to be very important. Now, otherwise, we managed to vassalize Norway and do some reconquesting here. And Norway was colonizing, which is really important because the New World was so barren. Still a bit of a concern. And he has actually dropped 5 colonies. Awesome. Really cool. So if we go clean this up really quickly, then we're going to Vinland. And my plan is at that point to integrate Norway. And yeah, Vinland will give him some subsidies or something so that he will keep on colonizing himself. One more nation up here, and they'll give us a merchant and so on in the meantime, which of course is Catholic. That's pretty much it, guys. Of course, I should go ahead and show you the culture. Look at that culture. That's pretty impressive. Don't you think that we're really getting there? I mean, that's a big portion of the world, much more of the world than most people would typically have in a standard game, converted up, and many more in the process of converting. In fact, there's a map mode here of accepted cultures. Anything that is orange is currently being converted. So the green is obviously accepted, and these are being converted to accepted all over the place. We're trying to spread that 25% adjacent, although some areas still have separatism because we only just dealt with them. It's looking good. It's looking good. We have under 200 years remaining, about 180 years, guys. So obviously, if we go ahead and look at my idea groups, we just took administrative, pretty standard stuff. I've got the adaptability now, 25% core reduction cost. Good timing with the age of absolutism finally finishing. We got that maximum by crushing the Cordon Country disaster, maximum absolutism up by 20, and easily overkilling it here, not even with good legitimacy. So that's good. It's really, really good. My plan, hopefully, guys, is to integrate Austria and Great Britain. Hopefully, I'm hoping that we can get the maximum admin efficiency. There is sometimes, I think, it might be my imagination, but I think you can usually hit that 27 admin tech whilst towards the end of the age of absolutism, while you have the 5 admin efficiency, and that's actually the most admin efficiency you can get in the game. Whereas once you go to the next age, you lose this bonus. So I'm hoping to get, obviously, this up, and 20 more admin efficiency from here, integrating both of these nations. Now, speaking of integrating, we've had a bit of a protocol here, guys. When I am ahead in admin points, what I've been doing, because the name of the game is the one culture, guys, I've been unstating some of our weaker states. This was stated up in the beginning. And I've been putting them in other areas. And the reason I've been putting them in other areas is to then be able to reapply the Dominicans in other areas. See what I'm saying? Pretty effective. That's what I've been doing if we're not able to expand at the same rate that I gain admin. And we're going to adopt a little bit of a different protocol. If I'm getting too many admin points, I'm going to try to complete administrative ideas. It gives us 5 more states, which that alone is good. You know, the 10% technology is okay, although there's not that much ticking up throughout the course of the game as it's getting later and later. Unfortunately, pretty much all of this is not very relevant to us. Maybe the mercenaries will be eventually. As we get nearer and nearer to the end, we'll probably dump the stuff in manpower to get as strong as humanly possible, and then start murking up to bullets towards the end of the game if it comes down to the wire. But yeah, this is a lot of admin points, but I will slowly creep up if we can. And we're going to have so many states that we can state up for quote-unquote free because we've already integrated them. So that's going to be a good... Any states are good, basically, right? To make us stronger, but also juggle the Dominicans like we have been. So I like those 5 states, but way more importantly is that policy, guys. Look at the policy, the second one with influence, 20% Diplo annexation cost reduction. So needless to say, our Diplo points should be going towards converting the world. And yeah, 20%. So I'm hoping that we can also synergize that as well, that 20% annexation cost reduction there to integrate Austria and Great Britain into our country. 20% of these nations is a lot, right? And yeah, that's pretty much it for the update, guys. I'm really enjoying this game. It's totally hype. I'm going to be posting this video just before the next stream as usual. And like I said, we just overcame the Court and Country. We're starting to dominate the world in terms of trade, which is something we need to continue to do. And just in case you guys don't see it, we jacked a little charter company that we jacked from another nation here, and we got Deus Volt against this Indian as well. Look how vulnerable this dude looks. So we're going to tap into some serious wealth here. The Dutch are being annoying. They're taking influence from us in various areas, but we have a winning trade company in the Ivory, the Cape, and the Zanzibar regions. So I'm planning to funnel everything into Seville and into Genoa here. But you can see the Dutch. This is their influence over the English Channel. So I'm really looking forward to, after PUing Austria, fully annexing the Dutch. It's going to be amazing. And all of this wealth from all of Asia is going to flow through, and that's going to be crucial. That's going to be crucial because we should be spamming manpower buildings more than we have been. We should be getting an economic snowball going more than we have been, so we can muster more and more and more forces to collapse upon the world, which is our goal, including the Commonwealth of Muscovy. A long way to go, but I'm still kind of optimistic that here's where the real work begins. Let's be honest, guys. Yeah, I hope you guys enjoy. I've been getting great viewership and stuff on my streams lately. It's been freaking sick. I'm really looking forward to it. And it's going to come down to the wire, I feel like. I just hope we can pull it off, guys. The one Roman culture on very hard difficulty with no Diplo banking amongst everything else. Thanks for watching. I'll see you guys live or in the next video.